I apologize, I had to stop the video. A lawnmower was going by and I couldn't hear myself talk. But I was talking about grounding, and so the pole's grounded to the ground, to the cage, to the concrete, and it's grounded in the box, which goes back to the main service. I used some B-line 2-inch rigid strut straps to make sure all the strut was connected tightly to the poles. Here's where the connection comes out on the opposite side of the house, the 1/2-inch EMT, and then it comes down to a AC disconnect, and this feeds into my meter main to a 2-pole 20-amp breaker, and then it ties into the grid with the net meter, which I'm not sure if you can see very well. That's what I've used. That's what I've produced. And that's the difference between the two. I think I'm a little behind in production. With the clouds lately, it hasn't been that great, but so I wanted to add a couple things that I had missed or hadn't talked about previously. On the hardware, I did use stainless steel bolts, washers, and even nuts. I use nylon nuts, stainless, on the strut to hold the panels down. Also, I liked going with the option of the microinverters instead of the DC route. For the price of a DC inverter, single one, I pretty much got about 2 more panels for the same price with 2 more inverters. Also, what else was I going to say? Also, on the trunking cable, it has connections every 2 meters. So basically the 8 panels, the APsystems one, is basically kind of like one system with 4 inverters. Excuse me. That's correct, 4 inverters. And then the 2 Renogy are on almost like a separate system, like a separate inverter, but they're still tied together in the connection box. Just because I had added them later, so I just, instead of ordering all new cabling, I just got a piece of cabling that just had 1 connection on it for the microinverter. This system, I have an all-electric house. I use on average about 30 kilowatt hours a day over the year, and on a good day this is producing about 17 kilowatt hours, so it is helping offset the my power usage. I am able to sell back to the utility, but unfortunately my utility is not that great on payback of overproduction. It's pretty much 1-to-1 on usage, but if I make more than I use, they give me about 4 cents a kilowatt hour, which really isn't that great considering around this area there's a couple more utilities that pay twice that much. Of course, living in Nebraska, I think we're the only state in the United States that pretty much has, I guess, what's the word? The utilities are kind of owned, not necessarily by the employees, but they're owned through municipality. Can't say the word. Municipalities, local ones, as compared to the rest of the country. So our rates are pretty cheap here. I think we're about 10 cents a kilowatt hour, maybe 11 on average. So yeah, we get pretty cheap electricity, which is probably why solar in this state really hasn't really kicked off as much as some of the other states. I know one of the main questions even I was asking and researching stuff was, okay, well, how much does this stuff cost? Well, I can kind of give you a short overview of what I paid for some of this stuff. The concrete, about 40 some bags. I think it was about $130, something like that. I had a 11% off Menards sale thing. 20-foot pole, that was probably about $320. The rigid piping, if you get the electrical kind, it's about $43 for a 10-foot stick. I did see some plumbing rigid, which I don't know that there's that much difference, and it was $10 cheaper. The rigid that I already had, I had like some 12-foot sticks. Like I said, those were pretty much free. These key clamps, 2-inch key clamps, almost of any configuration, will run probably about $50 a clamp. I saved quite a bit of money on that, having resourced that from a previous job that basically all the conduit and clamps were going to go to the landfill. The 20-foot sticks of strut were about $36 a piece. The panels themselves, I got a little bit of a discount since I'm an electrician and work for a contractor. So the cost of those vary. I think I paid maybe 75 cents a watt. The microinverters, I think you can pick them up for about $160 on the web. I paid probably maybe about $20 shy of that for each one. Trunk cable was, I'm trying to think, I can't remember what the trunk cable was that you have to have for the inverters, but it wasn't too expensive. It was maybe $10 a meter, or every 2 meters, I think. Conduit, half-inch conduit's pretty cheap, really. Number 12 wire that I used, probably, $50 worth of wire. I did buy the junction box up there along with the strainer leaf fittings for the cord. I think that box is maybe $15. The Beeline straps are probably about $2 a piece. Trying to think what else. Oh, the Wee Blugs. Yeah, the Wee Blugs those are a little pricey. They're about $3 a piece, if you can find them that cheap. I've seen them anywhere from $5 to even $8 for those little grounding lugs. But for the most part, we charge $3.50 a watt to install solar. I did save considerably because I'm a licensed journeyman and pretty much did this all myself. I think I probably had about $200 in permit fees. So yeah, that's about kind of what the costs were. If you have any questions, feel free to ask. I will try to answer them to the best of my ability. Thanks.